So right around 1996, there was a game called Super Mario 64 that was released on the N64, which stood for Nintendo 64 in this case. The Nintendo 64 didn't really have too many games in its library. I think there was roughly around 300 of them, but it also had some of the greatest games that you could play to this day, like GoldenEye, Perfect Dark, Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, just to name a few. Even though there's many more of them. But, you know, depending on what kind of games you're into and depending on what kind of games you do play, Super Mario 64 was one of those kind of games that you could beat it one time and then just play it over and over again. Maybe not every day, but like some speedrunners do. And some people actually consider it to be, you know, probably one of the greatest 3D Mario games of all time. A little known fact about Super Mario 64 was that originally it was supposed to be what Super Mario Galaxy was supposed to be, sort of. You know, in case you don't know, when the Super Mario, when the N64 was in the making, the N64 games were actually supposed to have double capacity for like the cartridges. I think they could only exceed up to 32 megabytes, and what happened was Nintendo decided to, so like rather than having double cartridges, you know, like imagine Ocarina of Time being like, you know, like twice as long, even though it's already a long game. That would have been interesting. There would have been, you know, Banjo-Kazooie was another good example. You might remember the stop and swap items, which weren't available until, they weren't available until Banjo-Kazooie, but then you wanted to really, the idea was like you weren't supposed to be able to get them until, like, really use them until Banjo-Tooie, but seeing how the N64, what happened was, you know, because Nintendo kind of scrapped the idea at the time while it was doing this, so some games like Perfect Dark and, you know, it essentially, you know, Nintendo had to come out with an expansion pack for the RAM, so like certain games could exceed, you know, because, you know, even though not all games require the expansion pack, but it was really interesting though that, you know, because Nintendo pretty much scrapped that hardware decision, they pretty much needed some, it was possible, and there were some games like Banjo, like, again, like Donkey Kong 64, for example, which is another great game I recommend, you know, especially if you love the Donkey Kong Country series. You know, it's a game that requires the expansion pack, because, like, there's so many things in the game that, you know, the cartridge itself was able to exceed what the game itself didn't allow you to do, or what the console itself could keep up with. So Super Mario 64, you know, didn't really require the expansion pack, but it would have been an even longer game. Like Shigeru Miyamoto once stated, and you can find this all on Wikipedia if you want to know where I'm getting this from, but essentially there was an interview Shigeru Miyamoto himself did, the creator of Mario. He once stated that, you know, he wanted to make, Super Mario 64 was supposed to be like at least 50 worlds, and last time I checked, like, you know, there was like 7, 8 stars, and, well, the original N64 version, there was only 6 stars, plus the 100 coin star, so, you know, take 15 times 6, and essentially you got 30, 90, like almost like 120, almost 120. So 15 courses times 7 easily gets you like, I think it's 105, and then there was like another 15 hidden stars throughout the whole castle. And, you know, that was pretty interesting. And then, you know, Super Mario 64 was a really cool game. You know, it came out with, you know, Mario had like all these, and if you had the manual for the game, it showed you like all these cool tricks Mario can do. Like he could bounce off walls, he could do sideways flips, he could crawl, he could duck, he could punch and kick things. It was pretty cool. You know, they showed you like you were able to jump on enemies, but everybody already knows that it was, you know, Mario could ride on shells. He get the wing cap, which already existed. He could turn invisible. He could turn into Metal Mario. You know, he could, you know, and Luigi wasn't really, well, Luigi was actually supposed to be playable in the original Super Mario 64. But, you know, despite what the rumors say, you'll never be able to find him. The worlds consisted of water, ice, like, just typical, you know, random elements like wind and, you know, there was pits everywhere, there's hidden passages, you know. For a Mario game, Koji Kondo, the guy who did the Mario music and the Zelda themes, did Super Mario 64, did a really great job with him. Let's see, what else was there? there was not just plenty of secrets, but like also like hidden items that you would have to find, which were pretty cool, you know. And overall, like, the controls were very solid, music was calm, a lot of replayability. I think you can get the game, I mean, for Mario games, they're usually kind of expensive, like $35 on average. I mean, I think the English version goes for right around like $30 for the N64 version. But whatever the case is, if you can get your hands on this game, it's definitely something you should check out. Again, if you haven't already played it, and if you want to keep it, you know, Super Mario 64 was a fun game. You know, you can get 100 one-ups, and it didn't save, so like once you turn the game off, the game would keep your health where it's at, or it would keep you have like 8 health. And what's really cool is, like, you know, people have found like alternate ways to get stars. Like, you could skip certain things. Like, literally, it's pretty cool. Like, all these there's like this backwards jump kick you can do, and you can pretty much skip like some of the stars just by going through. You could go like it's what is known as a glitch, but at the same time, though, it's kind of like a hidden tactic. I don't think Nintendo necessarily wanted you to do it, but like people have like found like other ways to get stars. So it's like really cool, like all these speedrun tricks people do. But at the same time, though, Super Mario 64, there was Bob-omb Battlefield, there was Wump's Fortress, Jolly Roger Bay, Cool Mountain, there was Princess Peach's Secret Slide, or Princess Toadstools, which is a mushroom in this case. There was Bowser in the Sky, there was Bowser in the Dark World, Bowser in the Fiery Sea level, there was Dire Docks, there was... trying to think of the name of the world at this point, if you're wondering when I'm reading this off. There was, and this is all off the top of my head too, so there was Dry Desert, or rather something close to it anyway. Shifting Sandland, sorry. And then there was what else was that other level called? Like lava, like hot lava or something like that. It's in the basement level. Then there's Hazy Maze. Then there's see, after you go there, you go into the moat, you can drain the water. Then there was the secret where you could get the cap in the sky. Then there was the metal cap, wherever that was at. I mean, I know that's in Hazy Maze, but I forget the name of the name of the area where you get it at. There was also, let's see, what else was there? Once you get up to the top, there's Dry Wet World, there's Tiny Huge Mountain, there's something to do with like Snowman Land or something like that. What else was there? There was Death Clock, which is also known as Tick-Tock Clock, which everybody hates. And then there was Rainbow Cruiser, and then there was a Rainbow Ride. There was Mario in the Sky as well. There was also the Toads Gate. There was 3 toads that gave you hidden stars. There's a lot of hidden secrets. Like I said, there's a lot of hidden secrets in Super Mario 64, and even to this day, people still haven't found some of them. But I'm sure most of them have already been uncovered. Sort of. Also, there's also an evidence for like there being more levels in the game. If you actually hack the game, you can actually hack certain games. And what's funny is like some of the letters don't come up in Super Mario 64 because I guess the game designers didn't really think they'd use them all, which is kind of understandable because when you translate Japanese, they don't use all the letters to a degree. Last time I checked, yeah. So you could also have what else was there? Could also have in Japanese. You could also have like, if you look at the Japanese version, there's actually some levels that are, like, even though the game's, like, exactly the same, from what I've seen, because I've played both versions, you could also, like, the worlds are very, like, not just identical, but, like, there's a couple of things that I've noticed that some people haven't found yet in the Japanese and English version, and it's really interesting because, like, you know, if you actually look at the way the coding of the game works, the game states that the like, again, so, like, in the game's coding, there's actually more levels that are in the coding that aren't finished. Now, some people might say they're playtest maps that, you know, test the game's engine and physics. And, you know, because it's already in the game's coding and seeing how you're not really going to be able to access it. I'll give you an example. The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker did the same thing. You know, it was in the game's coding, which is really cool. And some people wouldn't be able to access it without cheating, but it's in the game's coding nonetheless, meaning, like, it's accessible. You just got to be able to route it to the, like, whenever you leave a dungeon and go to another room, and it loads that. It'd actually be interesting to find that. So, in other words, you know, Super Mario 64, fully functional game. Has some really, it's got a lot of glitches in it though. So some of them are like, they got these random Mario balls and all that. It's funny. Like, I mean, I really thought there was something wrong with my game when I started running into them, but there's some really funny glitches people have found in those games that are actually, like, you look at that and you're like, what the heck just happened? So hopefully this kind of, again, hopefully this inspires you. So, like, if you've never played Super Mario 64, you should check it out. It's a great series. Probably one of the best-selling franchises of all time, obviously. Although, personally, I like the Zelda series better, but I like them both, you know. Because, again, you know, why limit yourself, you know? So, again, you know, comment, rate, subscribe, favorite, share this video with people. And if you like Super Mario 64, have fun with it. Because it's a fun game.